All right, here we go, multiplying polynomials 2. Now, what's different about this video and the previous one you watched is, well, let me just show you. So this right now, we have a binomial multiplied times another binomial, right? So we have two things being multiplied by another two things, or we have three things. Now, what we did previously looked like this, where it was just, right, it was just one thing being multiplied inside your parentheses. So what we're doing is a little different, but it's not hard at all. So let's get started. Now, there is this method called FOIL, and it's basically tells you how to do it. It's called first, outer, inner, last. I'm not going to teach you that method, even though it's on the video, written on here, because it doesn't always work. It works for when we have two terms times two terms, but it doesn't work when we have two terms times three terms. So I don't want to teach you that way. All right, so I'm going to show you two methods that are used in this process, okay? Two methods. One is just double distribution where you're going across. So you do this times this, and then you do that. That's double distribution. Another way is a box method, which I prefer because it helps my work stay organized and nice, because I'm a messy guy, so I just gotta, keep it nice and organized. So let's get started. Here we go. So this is double distribution. So we say, what is x times x? X times x is what? So we have x squared, okay? Then we have x times 4. So that's going to be, x times 4 is just going to be a positive 4x, right? Bam. So that's one. Double distribution means we distribute twice. So this is the first time that I distribute. And the second time, what is 2 times x? So now that's a positive 2x. 2 times 4. So that's a positive 8. And then now you just combine like terms. So you identify what's the like terms, and then you're done. So the only like terms that I have right now are this 4x and this 2x. And then so you combine them. So we have x squared. X squared. 4x plus 2x is 6x plus 8, and that's it. So that is double distribution, right? You take one term, multiply it twice to over here. You take the second term, and you multiply it twice to the other one. That's double distribution, okay? All right, let me show you the box method that I'm talking about. Now, the box method works like this. All right, so we draw a box. Bam, bam, bam. All right, let me move this a little over, bring it over here. All right, cool. Now, depending on how many boxes you need, depends on how many terms that you have, right? So let's think about this. I'm just gonna draw a box with four boxes inside of it. Now, here's why. There's two terms here, so I need to be able to put a term here and a term here, right? And then there's two terms here, so I need a term here and a term here. So here's how it goes, okay? So 4x, it doesn't matter if you move this here or in the top. It doesn't matter which way you do it. All right. So let's say I put 4x here and then a negative 7 here, right? Because that's going to be up the top. And then we have x, and then we have a positive 3. Okay, now let's go ahead and multiply. The way you multiply is this. Where these boxes meet, you multiply them. So 4x times x goes here. And then you say x times negative 7 goes here. 4x times 3 goes here. 3 times 7 goes here, all right? So let's do that. So 4x times x, well, it's just going to be 4x squared, okay? Now we have x times a negative 7. Well, that's just going to be negative 7x. Then we have 3 times 4x. 3 times 4x, that's just going to be 12x. And then we have 3 times a negative 7, which is a negative 21. Okay. And then to write my final answer, before I write my final answer, I want to identify what are my like terms. This is a squared, this has an x, and this has an x, and that's negative 21. All right, so then let's go and write my final answer. So we have negative 4x squared. All right, and then combine my like terms, 12 plus a negative 7, was that going to be a positive 5x minus 21. Bam. So this is your final answer right here. That's it. So that's the box method. So just a reminder, this is just double distribution right here. We're doing the same thing, but I'm keeping my work nice and organized so that way I don't get anything confused. And then that's it. So let's go ahead and do some bigger problems. Actually, I'll do this rectangular one last. All right. So I'll try the box method again, and then I'll go do the last method, the double distribution. All right, again, we need to basically get rid of the parentheses and combine like terms. That's our whole goal. So let's go ahead and do that. Now this is what I mean where it changes depending on how many boxes you need. One side of my box needs to have three little spaces, right? Here's 1, 2, 3, because if I have 3 terms, I need to write 1, 2, and 3 there. On this side here, I need to have 2 because I have 2 terms. All right, so on the top, I'm just gonna say this is x squared. Let's say positive 3x, let's say negative 6. On the left side, I have x, and then I have a positive 4. All right, let's go ahead and do this again. So we have x times x squared. That's gonna just be an x to the third. So we have x times, so x times 3x, that's just gonna be 3x squared. I think I said squared on this one right here, that's cubed, my bad. All right, so we have x times a negative 6. X times a negative 6 is just a negative 6x. All right, then we have 4 times x squared, so it's just smushed together, 4x squared. Then we have 4 times 3x, which is going to be a 12x. Lastly, so we have 4 times a negative 6, which is going to be a negative 24. All right, now this one we have to do, again, before we write a final answer, we need to figure out what are my like terms, combine those. So let's identify it. Look, here's an x squared, here's an x squared. Here's an x, and here's an x. And then this one down here, this is just a number by itself. It's a constant. There's nothing I combine it to. This is a cube. There's nothing I combine it to. So those just kind of get dropped down super easy. So I have x to the third. Oops, what is going on? X to the third, bam. All right, we're done with that. Now let's always put it in descending order in the highest degree. So next is going to be the squared. So I have, and we're always adding. Remember, when I combine like terms, we're always adding. So 4 plus 3 is 7, but it's x squared. Okay, 12 plus a negative 6 is going to be a positive 6x, and then minus 24, and that's it. You're done. Right, you've simplified as much as you can. All right, I know this video is getting a little long, so I'm going to try to do this one a little fast. If you didn't want to do the box method and you're like, hey, that's confusing, you'd rather do this double distribution with the arrows, totally fine. Totally fine. All right, so let me show you how to do that one again. Let's take one at a time. So we have 2x times 4x squared. So 2 times 4 is going to be 8, and then x times x squared is going to be x to the third power. All right, 2 times a negative 3x. 2 times a negative 3 is a positive or a negative 6. X times x is x squared. All right, 2x times 6x is going to be a negative 12x. Bam. We're done with that first one. Now we got to do the next one. 2 times 4x squared. So that's going to be a positive 8x squared. 2 times 3x, negative 3x is going to be a negative 6x. And then 2 times a negative 6 is going to be a negative 12. All right, bam. We've written them all out. Same thing applies. Once you've gotten rid of the parentheses, we can combine like terms. We're going to identify them. So let's go and identify x cubed. I know there's not another one, but I have a squared here. I have a squared here. I have an x here. I have an x here. And then that's a constant. We don't need to combine it. So let's write my final answer. 8x cubed. Combine the pinks. Negative 6 plus an 8 is a positive 2x squared. A negative 12 and a negative 6 is a negative 18x minus 12. Bam. Just like that. So easy. All right, last one. I know this video is getting a little long. So you are going to see problems like this where it's a shape and you have to find the area. So it says find the area. And we're not looking for actual number. We're looking like for an expression, basically what this is, right, when we have these letters in it. All right, find the area of the rectangle. Now let's think about this real quick. If I have a rectangle and I'm trying to find the area is equal to length times width, right? Length times width, or base times height, whatever you want to call it. So let's call this my L, we'll call this my W. Now what I need to do is I need to multiply these, right? So if I was to multiply these to find my area would be 4x plus 5 times 2x minus 3. If I was to find my area, right, you would take one side and multiply to the other side. This is what you would do. Now, you just do it the same way we've been doing it, whether you want to do the box method or you want to do the double distribution. I'm just going to set up my box real quick. Box, bam. All right, so now let's go ahead and do this. So I'm going to put 4x here plus 5, 2x minus 3. All right, multiply this out. So we have 4x times 2x. 4 times 2 is 8. X times x is x squared. Bam. 5 times 2x, 10x. 4x times a negative 3 is a negative 12x. Negative 3 times 5 is a negative 15. All right, almost done. Identify like terms. This is a like term, that's a like term. All right, so my area can be found by this expression. 8x squared. All right, 10x plus a negative 12x is a negative 2x minus 15. And that's it. So this concludes your notes for multiplying polynomials 2. So it's just double distribution. All right, if you have any questions, please let me know and come see me during tutoring if you're a little confused. Your homework for this time will be all odds, all odds.